Okay, everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining. I think we can start. We're a few minutes past the hour, and we already have a good number of attendees with us today. So welcome. My name is Samuel Almeida. I'm with F6S, and we're here today to present to you the first open call of the AI4Media project. With me, I have Filoretti and Yanis from CERT. They are our project coordinators, and they will be providing you an overview of the project today. So I will give them the floor in just a few seconds. What I would like to give you is an overview of what the agenda for today is. So we'll start off with an introduction to the AI4Media project that will be delivered by our coordinator, Sirth, Filoretti in particular. Then we'll go into the open call number 1 and basically all the details that we think are relevant for you to understand and to get yourselves organized to participate in the open call. And then we'll have a dedicated question and answer session near the end where any question that you might have, either that might have arisen through the webinar today or through looking at the material over the past couple of weeks, feel free to place it using the appropriate channels that the webinar tool has. So that being said, I want to thank you again on behalf of the AI4Media project, and I will now give the floor to Filoretti. I will stop sharing and let her share her presentation on the project. So to everyone, thank you again. The floor is yours, Filoretti.
Hello everyone, give me a moment. Hello everyone, my name is Filoretti and I'm the project manager of the AI4Media project coming from the Center for Research and Technology in Hellas. So I will make a brief introduction to the project, main objectives, main activities, the use cases, etc. The main motivated by the challenges and opportunities that the use of AI brings to the media sector and the society, the EU-funded AI4Media project aspires to do the following things: deliver the next generation of core AI technologies for the media sector, ensure the embedding of ethical and trustworthy AI into future AI developments, and reimagine AI as a human-centered, trusted and beneficial enabling technology for the media and for the society. The AI4Media is based on 6 pillars: a European Media AI Observatory that will set a research and innovation agenda for media AI, monitor the disruptive potential of emerging technologies for the society and economy, and offer a relevant policy recommendation. An intensive research and innovation activity plan that in 4 core areas of media AI, a portfolio of use cases aiming to directly apply the technologies developed in the project to strengthen the European media sector and society, a targeted program of cascade funding to increase engagement of external actors in AI research and application, an international doctoral academy that will nurture a new generation of AI alumni, offer courses, student exchanges, melontology symposia, summer schools, etc. And the AI4Media Virtual Center of Excellence, which will function as a portal for all media AI research and innovation activities in Europe. With regard to research and innovation activities, AI4Media aims to advance the state of the art in 4 key core AI technology areas with a view to unify the landscape, which is currently fragmenting, of the media-related AI, and offer solutions for the ever-growing needs and challenges of media organizations. The 4 areas, as you can see, is decentralized learning and AI on the edge, trustworthy AI, AI for multimedia content analysis and creation, and human and society-centered AI technology. Here we can see, let's say, the major scientific and technological challenges that we can tackle under each of these 4 dimensions. With regard to new learning paradigms and distributed AI, we examine lifelong and online learning methods, manifold learning and disentangled feature representation, transfer learning, neural net architecture sets, AI at the edge, deep quality diversity, learning to count, and quantum-assisted reinforcement learning. With regard to trustworthy AI, we focus our research on legal and ethical frameworks for trusty AI, novel methods for ensuring AI robustness, methods for explainable and interpretable AI, privacy and security enhanced federated learning approaches, methods for detection and mitigation of bias affecting fairness in the recommender system, and benchmarking of AI systems. With regard to human and society-centered AI, we provide policy recommendations for content moderation, manipulation, develop techniques for manipulation and synthetic content detection in multimedia, examine hybrid privacy-enhanced recommendation systems, AI for healthier political debate, detection of perceptions of hyperlocal news, measuring and predicting user perception of social media, and also examining the real-life effects of private content sharing. And with regard to content-centered AI, we focus on media analysis and summarization, media content production, learning with scarce data, language analysis in media, computational demanding learning, and also music annotation and audio provenance analysis. As you have seen, we cover a lot of different topics and challenges, and the technologies that we will develop will be tested in the context of 7 industrial use cases that focus on the media sector with relevance for both society and the economy. As you can see, these cover different forms of media, such as digital content, broadcast, video, film, audio, music, and games, and address a variety of societal and democracy-related topics such as disinformation, public discourse, media moderation, consumer privacy, creativity, human-machine interaction. The 7 use cases are realized through a close collaboration between AI researchers on one hand and major European media organizations and content-related companies on the other. In the following, I will try to go over the use cases very briefly. The first one focuses on AI for social media and against disinformation. So nowadays, while disinformation activities increase and synthetic media techniques advance, the verification processes remain complex and time-consuming. So the current generation of tools lacks functions that can identify advanced forms of manipulated content and easily understand disinformation patterns in social media. So there is a need for improved tools to support journalists and fact-checking experts. The use case explores the verification of content from social media with a focus on synthetic media detection, so detection of video and audio deepfakes used for targeted disinformation, the detection of communication narratives and patterns that are related to disinformation, including the detection of topical disinformation campaign stories emerging either dynamically or by certain actors and community, the use of trustworthy AI in relation to the AI functions developed for this use case. The new AI tools that will be developed within the project for synthetic media detection, the analysis of disinformation, and related trustworthy AI features will be integrated within the existing journalistic tools, Truly Media and Truthness, and they will be piloted and validated by journalists in Deutsche Welle. The next use case is about news AI for news production. Journalists face a challenging environment where the amount of incoming content is ever increasing, while the need to publish news as fast as possible is extremely pressing. And on top of that, journalists need to ensure that the published content is trustworthy and relevant for the audience. So what we need is a smart news assistant, a tool that will support journalists in the creation of news stories by providing a variety of AI-enabled functionalities for story production, development, story curation and publication, and audience engagement. This use case, some of the functionalities of this smart news assistant that we wanted to develop are automatic story suggestions based on analytics of audience engagement and trend detection in social media, real-time suggestions during article preparations, automated news article summaries and article indexing and annotation for easier search, automated content curation and adaptation to different audiences, personalized news experiences based on past behavior, and semi-automated moderation of online discussions about news articles. The third use case focuses on AI for high quality video production and content automation. So when unexpected events like, for example, natural disasters occur, for example, a flood or an earthquake, newsrooms need to readily publish and update fresh news, while the content quality and reliability must be properly verified. To support the broadcasters' newsrooms, we need advanced AI tools that will facilitate high time quality news production along 3 dimensions. Timely news coverage by exploiting auxiliary sources like social media and video sharing platforms that provide a plethora of information, but this information cannot be used indiscriminately due to quality, privacy, and reliability issues. The second dimension is restoration of video archives and creation of new content using footage from new sources like drones that can provide new viewing experience. And the final one is the exploitation of and automating suggestion of available open data, professional news gathering services, and broadcast archives to help reduce the effort of the editorial staff. The next use case is about AI for social sciences and humanities. Scholars have been adopting digital methods into these fields aiming to exploit the knowledge included in large publicly accessible datasets for a while now. To do that, the researchers and also investigative journalists need practical methods to sift, connect, and analyze various data and media collections when searching for factual responses to broad societal questions. So what we need here is to develop an AI-based infrastructure that will facilitate gathering and preparation of data to support both macro-level analysis, for example, the role of political and gender bias in media programs, and also analysis at the micro level, for example, close reading of specific programs, bias effects of speaker selection, topic presentation in media, etc. The tools developed will be brought together in a demo environment that will offer based on the Claraya Media Suite, which is a research environment that used by social scientists to offer datasets and tools to facilitate social sciences and humanities research. The fifth use case is about AI for games. Over the past decade, there has been an explosion of online games and digital distribution platforms. Digital games are now services that rely continuously on developing new content and adding new content in real time. Thus, optimizing a game before launching the market is crucial for its success. AI can drastically improve game testing and optimization by letting developers test 1,000 of different configurations and provide product evaluations very fast. And AI may also provide methods for automatic content generation, while it also has the capacity to support new gaming interactions. What we need are AI algorithmic innovation for automated testing of games, so agents to automatically detect bugs and glitches in video games by autonomously playing them and compiling test reports as a real human tester would do. We also need automatic AI tools for the selection and synthesis of background music or sounds in games. And what we also need is new techniques for natural game interaction through analysis of camera streams, for example, human body detection, gestures, etc. This should be done on the edge, and their interpretation of this, let's say, information into game commands with emphasis on real-time response and user privacy. The sixth use case focuses on AI for human co-creation. So content generation is an exhaustive project that is often developed by a limited group of people with a high level of craftsmanship, which they acquire after extensive training. To satisfy this high demand for new content, creators need novel tools to assist them. Music creation uses routinely such novel technologies in many ways. The introduction of AI offers a great opportunity, however, since it requires, but at the same time, it requires an increasing level of technical proficiency, which if you are a non-expert, this is out of reach. So what we need are tools that reduce the gap between novel content creation techniques, in particular raw and audio music on one hand, and artist creators on the other. More specifically, we need tools that will automatically create content according to external inputs and AI assistants that will undertake the less critical parts of the music creation, leaving the artist to focus on the most creative tasks. Finally, The seventh and the last use case focuses on AI for reorganization and content moderation. Media companies have built vast digital archives over the years that have little or no metadata. So this lack of coherent media asset categorization does not allow them to successfully monetize these assets or offer new services. In addition, media collections increasingly include user-generated content, which requires, however, moderation. So what we need here is efficient tools for the reorganization of existing large media collections of photos and video. To this end, in this use case, we will develop techniques for mapping existing taxonomies and ontologies used by companies to optimal ones and explore training specialized models for media asset categorization. And second, we need automated and human-in-the-loop moderation of user-generated media content. And to this end, we will develop tools for automated detection of inappropriate content, which we will combine with human moderators. We also will also develop a live stream optimization module for optimizing costs and the precision of automated real-time moderation. This will meet a growing demand of media companies to have scalable real-time content moderation to safeguard users and also meet the various regulations imposed by government. Another important, let's say, topic in AI4Media is the AI Doctoral Academy, which has been launched this year. AIDA is a joint instrument for supporting a world-level AI education and research program that offers access to knowledge and expertise and attracts PhD talent all over Europe. Our aim is through this academy is to coordinate the PhD, postdoc AI educational and training activities of AIDA members, which are, let's say, academic institutions all over Europe, to become a world-level reference for anything related to AI education and research, to define mechanisms to create inter-university sharing of educational assets in the area of PhD-level AI, and to envisage future efforts towards creating a charter for European universities where they can share, accredit, and recognize PhD education credits in the area of AI. You can all visit AIDA's website to learn more about it and learn how to join AIDA, either as an instructor if you are an academic, let's say, staff that can offer courses, or as a PhD student that can, take AIDA courses. This was an initiative of AI4Media, which is also established in collaboration with other AI networks of Europe, like ELISE, Human AI Net, Taylor, and Vision. The Memorandum of Understanding has already been signed by 53 founding members, institutions from all of Europe. There are 3 distinct curricula that are offered by AIDA: AI Core, AI and Media, and AI and Society. You can take a look at the website to see the media offering, the course offerings. 63 offered courses, including full academic semester courses, short courses, and web courses. More than 100 students have already been enrolled. We have also organized 3 summer schools on different topics during the summer. And we also have, as part of AIDA, a series of an AI Excellence Lecture series where prominent experts and academic and researchers give lectures about AI. And this happens once or twice a month, usually every Tuesday afternoon. Another important thing is the Junior Fellows Exchange Program that we have launched, which facilitates a large-scale exchange program aiming to enhance mobility among young researchers and increase diversity, visibility, and impact of AI research. In this program, any young fellow from any academic research SME organization can participate and collaborate in AI-related topics with researchers from AI4Media. These exchanges can be physical, can be virtual, but it can also have a hybrid, let's say, format. And AI4Media will cover travel and living expenses for physical exchanges for all young fellows. To this end, we have created a matchmaking page to enter profiles of host and sender institution. It's very simple actually to apply for the Junior Fellow Exchange programs. You visit the AI4Media website, you create your host or sender profile, depending if you want to go to another, let's say, organization as a young fellow, or if you wanted to be the host of some young fellow in your own organization. Then you search in the matchmaking section for the profile from the host or sender institution that better meets your exchange interests. And then you get in contact with them, agree on the terms of mobility, and submit a joint application through the online form. Apart from these activities, in AI4Media, we also organize very regularly workshops and other events to educate the AI community on the project's research outcomes and discuss different aspects of AI. All these videos then of these workshops become available on our YouTube channel where you can check them. Up to this point, we had 6 public workshops and 1 methodology symposium, as you can see. And tomorrow we have another workshop, which may be of interest for all of you, which is a workshop on the European AI on-demand platform. Tomorrow it will start at 9 a.m. CET, and you can see more information about it in our website or social media accounts. So who we are? The AI4Media consortium is composed by 30 leading partners in the areas of AI and media, 9 universities, 9 research centers, and 12 industrial partners. Also, we have a large pool of associate members, and if you would like to become an associate member to AI4Media, you can visit our website and sign in. So this is all from my side. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Filareti. I think if there are any questions, they'll emerge over the next couple of minutes. So while I shift my screen back to my presentation, and if maybe we still have Yanis, who is also from the coordination team, if you'd like to say any words, the floor is yours while I switch over.
Okay, nothing specific from my side, just to thank all participants for their interest. We are looking forward to their proposals, and we will do our best to select the best ones in order to have a contribution to the whole media community.
Let's go inside.
So thank you very much, Yanis, for your words. Okay, so I think we will continue now with the presentation. Thank you, Filareti. Thank you, Yanis. I think the presentation that you just had on the project on AI4Media, you can already see that there's a lot of, in addition to the open call that I'm about to present, there are a lot of different and interesting opportunities for all potential stakeholders, whether you're a researcher, whether you're a research organization, a company, SME, or similar. So there's a big offer that can also coincide with what we're offering in the open call, in the sense that you may eventually be funded through open call, but you may also participate as an associate member, or you may be interested to participate as a fellow in our fellowship program as well. So do keep in mind, we have a lot to offer, and it's something that we look forward to your participation. So that being said, now we can move on to the open call number 1, which started back in September, is accepting submissions until the 1st of December, so in about 3 weeks' time. And the idea that for today is that we go through the objectives of the open call, the 2 tracks that we have, and the respective challenges. So we have defined a couple of challenges that we expect proposals to address, what we're looking for in terms of timeline, the funding scheme, who can participate, how to participate, in the application form. So this is the more, let's say, technical aspect of the proposal preparation. And then for information, also how the evaluation process will take place, and in the eventuality that you are selected, how the sub-project or the sub-granted project implementation will move forward. And just to wrap up, we'll have just some additional tips for you to consider in your proposal preparation. So again, if there's any questions that emerge throughout the talk, use the question and answer session functionality, and we'll provide you an answer as best possible. So in terms of objectives, our large objective, as you can see, is our interest and will to engage entrepreneurs. That might be a single person, just like you and me, a company, whether that be a startup, an SME, a mid-cap, and also researchers and research organizations to develop new research and applications in the AI and media domains. Okay, so Feel Ready in her presentation addressed like the 7 use cases that we're focusing on. Those are just almost the tip of the iceberg of things that we're focusing on. We have a lot of research topics as well that we're looking at, and our open call aims to complement what we're already doing and to also go beyond these topics and to make available a more extensive pool of research and technological tools that also to some extent will be included as part of the AI4Media platform, which is in sync to the AI4EU platform, which is going to be addressed in the webinar that Feel Ready mentioned a few minutes ago. So whether let's say if you're a researcher, we're looking to attract researchers with innovative ideas and capacity and knowledge to develop new and complementary research into the multiple domains of AI4Media. And if you're more focused on applications, you're a company or an SME, the idea is to develop innovative AI application solutions for the media sector, either by creating new value or leveraging the results that are coming out of AI4Media and developing new solutions that are applicable for the AI for the media sector. So overall, the purpose, the impact that we're trying to achieve is to strengthen our AI4Media network and all of the surrounding networks associated to our project, to foster cross-border and cross-sector innovation within the media sector. So that's our, let's say, vision through the open call and what the European Commission also expects from us. Going into the tracks and challenges. So in the eventuality that you've already looked through the documentation that is available on our project website, you'll have already seen that we have 2 different tracks, a research track and an application track. As the name suggests, one is obviously more focused on developing research, more of an R&D style approach. And then there's an application track, which is more innovation focused, more tangible results by the end of the sub-granted project. So these first 2 bullet points in each track are a bit similar to what I just mentioned before. So if you're targeting the research track, we're looking to fund AI stakeholders, innovators, whether that researchers in broad, to develop new research in the AI and media domains. So this may be something related to, for example, new learning paradigms, explainability, robustness and privacy, content-centered artificial intelligence, human and society-centered AI. So these are topics that might ring a bell as if you look back at the presentation that Feel Ready gave on the project a few minutes ago. In particular, this research track will run for 12 months. So it'll be a 1-year project divided into 3 stages, a sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, so approximately 4 months each. These sprints are also aligned with, let's say, payment points, moments at which we will evaluate the progress of the project, and then based on that, if the project is running as planned, then payments are made, and then the projects continue to the second sprint. In terms of application track, the idea is similar. So we're looking to fund AI stakeholders, whether they're entrepreneurs, SMEs, companies, industry labs, develop innovative AI applications for the media sector. So again, similar to what was mentioned before. And over here, we have a higher expectation in terms of, in the sense that we're looking for solutions already that have commercial potential. Okay, so this is not low-level prototyping, but developing solutions, either building on what we're doing in the project, building on something that you've already working on, and have something with commercial potential by the end of the experiment. So contrary to the research track, we have a smaller project here. It'll be in 9 months, similarly divided into 3 stages with the same kind of evaluation process to be considered. Something important to keep in mind, because this is a question that has been popping up from potential applicants, and whether these, let's say, the fact that we're targeting one type of stakeholder for each track, consider that, or we can inform you that while there is, let's say, a tendency to indicate that the research track is more focused for researchers and the application track is more focused for companies, startups, SMEs. These are not fixed. So if you are an SME and you do research activities, then you can also submit a proposal to the research track and vice versa. So there is no, let's say, exclusion, no specific limitation in this regard. In terms of specific open call, the challenges that we've defined, there are a total of 7 plus an open challenge. If we look at the research track, and I won't go into detail here, but all of the, let's say, explanations, the expectations of each of these challenges can be found in Annex 1 of our open call documentation. This is, of course, available on our website, so we encourage you to have a look to read through these in detail. So we have the first challenge, which is bio-inspired deep learning. We have human-centered interactive explainable AI. Challenge 3, combining deep learning-based computer vision and classic path planning control for autonomous cinematography tasks, and innovative solutions for fake content detection in line with fundamental rights and developing EU regulations. So these are research-oriented challenges. It's not, we're not expecting high-level solutions by the end, but some kind of innovative research, papers deriving from the work that you do, and so forth. In addition, specific to the research track, in case you're very interested in applying, but none of these challenges seem to exactly fit with what you have in mind, you are more than welcome to submit a proposal to the open challenge, as long as it meets, as long as it addresses, in terms of research, new learning paradigms in distributed AI, explainability, robustness, and privacy in AI. So we have here 4, let's say, domains, topics that you should consider nevertheless in your proposal if you are targeting the open challenge. Also important to keep in mind, however, is that in this case, for the research track and for the application track, we are, let's say, giving priority to proposals that do address the challenges, the predefined challenges. So assuming that we have at least one proposal for each of these challenges that is above the threshold in terms of evaluation and scoring, these will be prioritized above the submissions provided to the open challenges, okay? So this is something to keep in mind when you're applying for the open call. In terms of application tracks, I'm not going into detail again, have a look at Annex 1, but there are 3 challenges that have been defined for the applications track. And again, there are the open challenges. There is the open challenge. So in case one of these does not fit with what you have in mind, you are encouraged to submit a proposal with an innovative idea, innovative solution that contributes to that uses AI and has a contribution to the media sector. And similarly, we will prioritize at least one proposal for each of the challenges that you see here on the screen. Okay, so this does not mean that open challenges are don't have a chance of being awarded, but preference to the proposals that address either the challenges for the research track or the challenges for the application track. Some key considerations to keep in mind. So, of course, as in with any proposal, these should aim to develop new or expand on existing research that you've done as a researcher, that you've done as a company, and that have not been already funded by the EC or other funding programs. So it is prohibited to have double funding on the same kind of work. If you have some idea already, if you're doing some kind of a project already and you want to expand that, then that's something that is eligible, that's something that you can submit, but you cannot do the same thing and be funded twice for that. So this is a big consideration, something important to keep in mind. for the open challenge and particularly for the application track. And as I mentioned before, we're looking for things that have commercial potential. So we're looking at a TRL level of 7. So it's something very close to the market already. Keep in mind that it's a 9-month project. So what you can develop in 9 months, that's something that you have to keep in mind as well. A question that we've seen before, and the fact that we're looking for solutions research that can contribute to also that can be somehow shared within our ecosystem through the different platforms that we're committed to supporting. And because, of course, we understand that IPR is a particularly important, let's say, topic. What we're looking for is to contribute to these platforms, but we're not looking to have full rights over anything that you might develop. The solutions, the work that you do is, of course, yours. What we're looking for is that whatever is developed is somehow, to the extent possible, also included there and contribute to somehow made available to other stakeholders, other companies, other researchers that might want to build on top of the work coming out of the AI4Media open call funding program. Okay, so another thing that we think is important to keep in mind, you've seen before in the presentation that Filarete gave, we have 7 use cases. And although we do have 7 challenges, there is not a one-to-one relationship between the use cases and the challenges. There are challenges that are, let's say, related to the use cases, but this does not happen for all of them. So do keep in mind that there is not a one-to-one relationship. Do look carefully at the differences. The challenges are very specific, they're detailed. So that's something that we'd like for you to consider when preparing your proposal. So those are the tracks, those are the challenges. So if you're already starting to create something in your mind, we're looking now at the timeline. So as I mentioned before, the open call was launched on the 1st of September, and it's been open now for 2 months and already 10 days. So 3 weeks left until the submission closes. Okay, so plenty of time to think about what you want to submit. Keep in mind that the proposals can only be submitted by single entities, so these are not open for consortium. So there's that a less level of bureaucracy in that sense. After the 1st of December, then we move on to the evaluation and selection phase, which I will address in a moment. And then in terms of implementation, whether you're an application project or a research project, then you'll be into 3 sprints of either 3 or 4 months. And what this means is that basically we start the applications or start the projects on the 1st of February, and worst case scenario, if it's a longer one, in this case, if it's a research project, it will end by the 31st of January 2023. So a 12-month project. In terms of funding scheme, so for this first open call, we have a total of 500,000 euros available, and we're going to fund 10 projects. So that's 5 projects for each track, 5 for the application track and 5 for the research track. And if we do an easy division, that means that it's 50,000 euros up to 50,000 euros per project, 100% of the total costs. What kind of costs are covered? Human resources, so the actual effort you put into the work that you're doing, any travel that might be necessary, other direct costs, if you have to, some kind of equipment to print materials, whatever that might be. However, if you are considering equipment or some kind of infrastructure specific to the development of your project, particularly in the application track, do keep in mind that what is eligible to be covered in terms of costs are the depreciation. So there can't be, acquisition of any type of equipment and material and put that on as expense of the project. It can only cover the specific use made during the project. And then there's indirect costs as well, which represent a baseline of 25%. As I mentioned before, activities that are already funded by other grants cannot be funded by AI4Media, so no double funding. And then funds, should your project be awarded, funds will be dispersed in lump sums at the end of each sprint. upon the achievement of objectives and the approval of the respective reports. So again, 3 sprints. At the end of each of these sprints, you'll be evaluated in terms of the project, the progress you've made in your project. And then if that has been approved, then you'll be paid the partial amount of money associated to that sprint. So in a nutshell, 500,000 euros for 10 projects, 5 for each of the tracks. So who can participate? As I mentioned before, proposals can only be submitted by single entities. So it's 1 partner per proposal. No combination of, there can't be 2 SMEs coming together or 2 research organizations, just single entities. In terms of eligible applicants, we're looking at, for example, companies, European mid-caps, SMEs, micro SMEs, startups, individual web entrepreneurs and individual sole traders that are established in an eligible country, okay? And then European secondary and higher education establishment, research institutes, and other not-for-profit research organizations. So these are the type of applicants that are eligible. In terms of countries, and similar to what we have in Horizon 2020, any entity from a member state of the EU, including outermost regions, overseas countries and territories linked to the member states, any H2020 associated country, according to the list that the European Commission makes available, so it's easy to find that online. And also, if you're in the UK, you are also eligible to participate because of, let's say, your permanent link with H2020 that was established at that time. Okay, so these are the applicants, these are the countries that are eligible to participate. So conflicts of interest, these arise sometime, and we have a big consortium of nearly 30 partners, and it is important that you are not, or that we cannot fund any kind of entity that is in one way or another linked to any of the beneficiaries of AI4Media, okay, or any of its linked third parties. As we have a lot of research organizations as well, any other, let's say, laboratory, research group, institute within any organization that participates within AI4Media is not eligible. But for example, if you're an entity that is somehow linked to us by participating in the Doctoral Academy, being an associate member, there are no limitations there. So that's why I mentioned at the beginning that there are other opportunities to get engaged, but that does not exclude you from participating. It's just another way of being involved in our ecosystem. If you have a specific doubt about whether you're eligible to participate, and of course we don't want to have situations where you're writing a proposal and then all of a sudden you understand that you're not eligible. So if you have a question, do get in touch and we'll provide you the best answer that we can. Okay, and keep in mind that in general, only 1 proposal per applicant can be submitted. Okay, so if you're a larger organization, check internally to see if anyone else is trying to submit, because we use the organization's VAT number to confirm the number of submissions that are being provided. So this is something to keep in mind. There is an exception though, which is for secondary higher education research organizations. These can have up to 2 proposals, although only 1 will be accepted for funding. Again, check inside your organization, whether that be an SME or a large enterprise, or if it might be a research organization, have a look and see if there are no competing proposals that will jeopardize your proposal as well. So those are the more, let's say, general information. Now, this is pre-preparation of the proposal, I would say. So now you have all the information and you're ready to go. What happens next? So all the proposals must be exclusively submitted via the F6S platform. So if you don't have an account, we welcome you to, it is recommended and mandatory to submit there. So register and get acquainted with the platform. Also visit our website, where you'll find all the information that you need and documentation, particularly Annex 1, which is the open call text that has all the description of the track and the challenges to which you can submit your proposal. Annex 2 is the guideline for applicants. Basically, It provides the rules for participation and what you can expect from the program. In general, everything that I'm mentioning here is a summarized version of what is included in the guideline for applicants. Annex 3.1 is the technical proposal template. So in addition to summary information on the F6S platform, you will have to fill out and submit a technical proposal. And that's basically where you put the concept of your proposal, the implementation, the impact that it has, and description of the entity that is submitting. Then there's an Annex 5 and 6, which is a declaration of honor, whether you're an individual or an entity, and an SME declaration form in the case of an SME. Okay, so these are documents, some that are for information, others that must be filled out, submitted, signed and submitted at the same time as you submit your proposal. So have a look. And again, if you have any questions, get in touch. All right, so the application form is what you're looking at right now. It's on, let's say, the cover page is this image that you see on the left. On the right is the actual form on which you through which you submit your application, your proposal. So basically, there's an introduction identifying the different sections of the proposal, what are the key annexes that you have to keep in mind, and also all of the information that that you have to provide within the proposal. Okay, in terms of the technical annex, which I just mentioned, and which is mandatory, again, these are mandatory annexes that you have to submit. It's basically a 5-section document where you have to provide first an overview of the alignment, how your proposal is aligned with the challenge that you have selected. Number 2 is the excellence. So basically the overall concept of your idea, of your proposal, the added value that it has. Then number 3, the impact. What kind of impact will the project, will the funding have on you as an organization, as an entity? What kind of impact will it have in terms of for AI4Media, for the artificial intelligence domain, for the media sector as well? So impact at a large scale. Number 4, the implementation. What kind of tasks are you planning to do? What do they entail? How long will they take, etc.? And then value in the sense that who is going to be developing the proposal, the project as an organization, as a team, and what kind of costs are associated to that project. Okay, again, this is a mandatory annex that has to be submitted with your proposal. Which is basically what I just mentioned right now. So mandatory items, Annex 3.1, there's a page limit of 10 pages. So keep that in mind. There are instructions on the first page of font size, formatting, and so forth. So there's no, let's say, no benefit in adjusting the formatting of the document to have more information. Be as simple and direct and convincing as possible, I would say. Then you have to Annex 5 or 6, depending on the type of entity you are, has to be also submitted and signed, as well as Annex 7 if you're an SME. Always provide us PDF versions. Keep in mind, this is important, any information that is missing or incomplete in any of these annexes is grounds for you to have a non-eligible proposal. So that means that you won't even move to the next phase of the evaluation if there's information missing. Okay. So I think that's the most important point here. In terms of the evaluation process, so basically this starts, as I mentioned before, on the 1st of December. After all submissions have been received, we do first the eligibility check, which is which I'll get to in a second. If you are eligible, then you move on to the next phase of the evaluation. If not, then you receive a rejection letter. Then we have the external remote evaluation, which is done by external experts, people with knowledge in the domain and the challenge that to which you have submitted a proposal. Again, if you have a positive review, if you are in the top 20 proposals, as you will see, basically we're looking for a sufficient number of proposals that will be funded, plus an extra 10 to go to interview. Okay, so After that remote evaluation, then we have the interview, and then we move on to the final top 10 proposals, 5 for each of the track, move on to the sub-grant agreement phase. In terms of the evaluation eligibility, so what are we looking for? Again, checking to see that the proposal is being submitted by a single legal entity that is eligible for funding, that the applicant in the proposal follows all of the funding rules. So, that you're not asking for more money than the limit, that it being written in English, another mandatory thing, that the proposal clearly focuses on AI and media, that all annexes are provided and filled out correctly. And again, as I mentioned, the proposal and documentation is provided in English in PDFs so that there is no, let's say, possibility of tampering with the documentation. In terms of remote evaluation considerations, the 5 criteria that we're looking for is fully aligned with the sections of the technical proposal, so Annex 3.1. So we have alignment, the alignment of the proposal with the selected challenge, the excellence in terms of the objectives, the proposed innovation of the concept, any legal, ethical issues, this being artificial intelligence, this being media, ethical issues do emerge. So this is something also important to keep in mind. The impact, so it's contribution to AI4Media ecosystem, the strengthening of you as an applicant, economic impact, exploitation, dissemination measures. So these are items that I've mentioned before. Implementation is the work plan, the tasks, the milestones, the KPIs that you define, the how reasonable it is that your proposal can be in fact implemented within the scope of the 9 or 12-month period. And then justification of project costs and resources is the value. Just have a quick sip of water. So each proposal is going to be evaluated by 2 external evaluators. Each criteria must be scored or will be scored on a scale of 0 to 5. And the minimum threshold is 3 for each criteria. The minimum threshold overall is 15 for you to be considered for funding. Okay, anything less than 3 or 15 overall will be disqualified. And then there's a ranking, which is of course a general overall score. So the sum of criteria 1 to 5, and then we give priority to then scores received for impact, excellence, implementation, alignment, value, and then if there are, let's say, sufficient proposals that have been tied on all of these criteria, we also keep in mind the gender balance in the team that is applying. And then also part of the evaluation process is the interview. So as I mentioned before, the top 10 proposals in each track, okay, will be invited to an interview, and the idea is in almost let's say elevator pitch style. You have 30 minutes to help to provide clarification on your proposal, and we'll specifically be looking at the concept and innovation, the impact and exploitation, and the applicant. Okay. Similarly, each criteria is going to be scored from 1 to 5, and then based on the summary of those scores, we filter out the final list of applicants that will be awarded. Okay, so this is that was the actual evaluation, and we're almost coming to an end. Should we get to the stage, the sub-project implementation? So this is basically what you get out of the project, the funding program, if you join, if you're funded. Basically, after the evaluation, there is a 2-week sub-grant agreement phase, which is basically saying that there's a contract signed between you as an applicant, as an entity, and the AI4Media project, where we'll do, in addition to signing the contract, we'll also do an important check, making sure that all documentation is correct and any other administrative aspects are solved in this case. Then we move into this 9 or 12-month implementation phase, 3 sprints, as you can see on the screen. And at the end of each sprint, and as you can see at the bottom, there are deliverables that are expected from you, and to which there are associated 3 different payments. So 25% at the end of the first sprint, 35% at the end of the second, and 40% at the end of the final sprint. In terms of specific support measures, in the first sprint, independently if it's an application-focused project or research, our support will be mainly in fine-tuning your work plan, maybe providing insights on how maybe your project can be a bit more aligned with what we're doing in AI4Media, maybe bringing more value to our project, but also allowing us to provide more value to your project as well. Then there's another research-focused benefit, which is where we will allocate a coach to support research monitoring, promotion, integration in the AI4Media network. So if you're doing a research track, we'll have someone monitoring the evolution of your research, providing you guidance here or there, depending on the type of topic that you're focusing on. If you're focusing on application project, then we're going to have more specific business-oriented support. For example, boot camps and online events to support the commercialization of your solution. Maybe get in touch with investors, help you participate in events where you can showcase your solution. For example, last week I was at Web Summit, so there's a lot of investment opportunities there. It's a platform for you to showcase your solution. So that's something we can try to help you with. In general, business support to promote the innovation and demonstrate the technologies, the work that you've been doing. And last but not least, transversal to all projects, and maybe with a bigger emphasis at the end, the last sprint is support in terms of promoting your results. Okay, so just to wrap up almost, tips to consider when preparing a proposal. So key recommendations, download and read carefully all of the documentation associated to this open call. So Annex 1, as I mentioned before, has all the details in terms of the challenges that you should address, what we're looking for in each challenge. Consider it, I'd say, inspiration for the proposal. There are objectives that we would like to see being met. Of course, there's a certain degree of flexibility here there in the challenge, but it should be respected. But you can also, be creative, be innovative, convince the evaluator that what you're proposing associated to that challenge is in fact, will in fact be innovative and an excellent contribution to the AI and media domains. Okay. Of course, open an application of F6S as soon as possible. Get in touch with the platform on what we're asking from you. So don't leave things basically until the last minute, because any technical issue on your side with the platform is not our responsibility. F6S's responsibility in that case. So get in touch with the platform. Again, be clear and specific, specifically with Annex 3.1. You have a lot to say, but not a lot of space to say it. So it's important to be precise and detailed, but not too overwhelming and convincing overall. Okay. So take your time, review carefully, clarify doubts, and submit well ahead of the deadline. I know it's tempting to leave things until the last minute, but a couple of days before is always good. If for some reason you do submit your proposal and you need it to be, and you need to provide some kind of update, please keep in mind that this is something that you have to request. It's not, you can't, let's say, submit one proposal on top of another. This has to be a request made to me using the F6S platform, and we'll unlock your proposal, and then you'll be able to make any updates that you need. Okay, so wrapping up, links and contacts. This is what you have to keep in mind. As I mentioned before, we'll make these slides available. You can get in touch directly through email at openCall@ai4media.iti.gr. Everything that you need to know is on our website. And there's let's say, an open platform also for discussions that you can use. If you have any specific doubts regarding the platform, you can get in touch with us at support@f6s.com. Okay, so I think We're already a bit over the hour, but I think we still have time for some Q&A. I know you can't see it, but I'm going to be moderating now the session to see if there are any questions that we have. So give me a second here. We have a lot going on. So we have some questions related to the use cases that I can't provide in detail. Use case 6, is it only music it focuses on? Do you see TV and film, documentary productions, and media sector? So I don't have, regarding the specific question of use case 6 and the flexibility, I don't have, let's say, the full details of each challenge in front of me to provide you a detailed answer, but in principle, the challenge description is to be considered, let's say, as key orientation in terms of the objectives that it focuses on and what we're expecting from you. As I mentioned before, of course, there is some degree of flexibility. In this case here, it's a question on the use of TV and film, maybe rather than music, if I'm understanding correctly. If you see that your proposal has the potential to also touch upon these different mediums, and not only music, but also TV and film, then it possibly is eligible. But again, I'll have a more detailed look and maybe get back to you individually, if that's okay. What levels of TRL in terms of the use cases, as mentioned before? So we're looking for commercially viable solutions almost. So we're looking for at least TRL 7, if that is, if you're focusing on application track, okay. So a question here about where you can question about the eligibility. So I can take a step back again. So these are the emails. You can send emails to openCall@ai4media.iti.gr. Okay. Again, we can try to be any questions that you have. Feel free to send them. We've been requested like one-to-one meetings to discuss details about the proposals, but that's something that we avoid. We don't want to interfere too much in your idea. We don't want to be biased in any direction. So we'll provide as much of a specific answer as possible to any question that you may have. Okay. Okay, so I see that we have a question here with some difficulties in registering. Okay, so this is a question from Renee. You should be able to register on F-Success with your individual email, whether that be a professional email or a personal email. I'll try to get back to you on that. If the problem persists, if you can't use your personal email, I'll try to get you in touch with someone from F-Success that will help you with that. And then we have another question, which is, to what extent a research proposal should address the AI4Media use cases? Okay, so good question. The use cases, a research proposal, a research proposal should either address the research challenges that have been defined. Okay, so one of the 4 research challenges that we've listed in Annex 1. If you're looking to submit to the open challenge, then it should focus on one of the 4 topics, I think, that are listed before, that are listed on, well, as I presented here in this presentation, but I think are also in Annex 1. Okay, so there's, for example, new learning paradigms, explainability, robustness, and so forth. Those should be your key focus. Of course, if you see that there's an alignment between these topics and one of the use cases, that you see some kind of an alignment, a relation that you can build on, and then I think there should be no problem at all in doing that. But keep in mind, there should be at least a focus on one of those 4 different topics that, one or more of those 4 different topics that are mentioned. Okay, yeah. I have just a general question that's following up. I'm taking note of all of these questions, so I'll get back to you individually with a more concrete answer. So no worries about that. Okay, so I hope I was able to answer the main questions in this sort of a monologue style approach. Hopefully, you at least got an idea of an answer for what you asked. But again, as I just mentioned, I'll be following up individually with all of the questions that were placed here during the conversation. Okay. So if you have any other questions, please feel free to put them while I just present my final slide as we wrap up. Let me just move on to the next slide here. Okay, so I want to wrap up today's webinar on this, let's say, first open call, just to say in this, let's say, visual diagram, if I may, that we have up to 50,000 euros equity free for up to 10 projects. Okay, so it'll be competitive, but a good number of projects are going to be funded, so there are good opportunities here. Keep in mind that the proposal can only be submitted by single entities, whether that be an SME or some kind of other company, a startup, for example, as well. Those are also eligible. Individual entrepreneurs, someone that likes to develop things at home, they're also eligible. Research organizations, higher secondary education from an eligible European member state and associated country from UK. Okay, so these are in terms of eligibility. As I mentioned before, 10 projects, application track, research track. Keep in mind the challenges that have been defined. Okay, there is an open challenge, but have a look at Annex 1 for details. And in terms of what our offer is, we have market-driven services, business and research support, and of course, visibility and promotion. Your success, should you be funded, is the project success as well. We're trying to expand our network, and your participation is a key contribution to that. Okay, so in a nutshell, that's what the open call is. Again, we'll make all of this information available, the slides, the presentation. We'll put it on our YouTube channel as well if you want to consult it afterward. But keep in mind all of the documentation, which is going to be, you'd say, the key information you need to prepare your proposal. So as I do not see any additional questions from our participants today, I'm going to ask if Phil Reddy, you have anything else you'd like to add before we say goodbye to our participants?
No, I think you covered everything. I would like to thank everyone for considering to apply for our open call and for joining today. And of course, we are open to any questions you may have through our email.
Okay. Thank you very much, Phil Reddy. So yeah, let me reiterate Phil Reddy's last comment and to thank everyone for participating today. I know it's always difficult to put all of these details into a 1 hour presentation, a bit more, but I hope that at least you have now a better understanding of what the offer is, how you can participate, what you have to do to participate, and yeah, before we leave, best of luck to everyone. If you're planning on preparing a proposal, once we close the webinar, you'll be given a link to a small survey about today's webinar. We would very much appreciate it if you could, provide your answers. It'll take you 3 minutes. It's always important for us to have feedback and to improve for future sessions of this type. So that being said, thank you very much again on behalf of all of the project. We're very happy that you joined us today, and we hope to have your submission very soon and to potentially work with you. So thank you very much, and take care, everyone. Have a good afternoon.